What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to Game Day Grace, the podcast where sports and faith unite in powerful conversations. And we have a powerful man of God here joining us today on the Believers Bench. First of all, happy Final Four week. It's going to be a huge weekend of basketball in San Antonio, Texas. I know a lot of eyes will be on Florida, Auburn, Duke, and Houston, but today we're going to be focusing on the HBCU All-Stars that'll be heading to San Antonio because this is the fourth annual HBCU men's basketball game, men's All-Star basketball game about to take place, and the first ever HBCU women's All-Star basketball game. And the brother we have today helped make it all possible. Coach Travis L. Williams, he's not only a brother in Christ, but he's a fellow Georgia State Panther. Shout out to you, my guy. How you doing today?
Man, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on the show. Doing well.
Good, good. Well, I saw something that said you turned tragedy into victory. So I want to start there before we get deep into the HBCU All-Star game. So tragedy to victory, what does that mean?
I think it's important. You know, many folks know kind of how I grew up. I'm from South Georgia, which is about 2.5 hours from Atlanta. So I experienced tragedy at an early age. I lost my mother due to lupus complications. She's passed away at the age of 30 when I was 12 years old. And so to lose a mom at that such an early age really was just life changing. And so I grew up in a single parent home. And so I call it 516 Maple Street. That's where I grew up. That's where this tragedy happened. I'll never forget where I came from. And so that's kind of where we are in this space.
And now here we are. Now you look at your journey, right? You are the founder and CEO of HBCU All-Stars LLC. Of course, the journey, it wasn't just smooth, right? We like to see the glory, but we don't always know the story. What were some of those turning points that got you to this moment? Because right now, man, this is a big weekend for HBCU All-Stars.
I think for me, it started, as I mentioned earlier, with the passing of my mother. And during those young years, we were constantly in church. And so to be able to have that strong foundation of spiritual, not only from my mother, but my late grandmother, Willibelle Williams, it's just kind of instilled those, Christian and godly values in us at such an early age. And so for me, this is truly a God-driven vision. After 17 successful years of coaching, my last year coaching at my alma mater, Georgia State University, during the 2018-19 season,
Yes, sir.
as you see,
Yes, sir.
that was my last year. And God placed the vision, said, hey, I'm placing something in your spirit to change the trajectory of our historical Black college and university. I love coaching. I mean, I've been coaching all my life. Some of my best relationship through my coaching, the player relationships. And as you know, the relationship coaches last for a lifetime. And so when God placed the vision, I'm being obedient in this walk and in this faith. And so we're doing something to change the trajectory of HBCUs, not only national, but global around the world. We're showing the world that HBCUs matter in this space. We own a Black-owned sports marketing, events, and media company here in Atlanta, Georgia. And our mission, our vision is ear and order. Exposure, access, recognition, opportunity, resource, and results for our proud and prestigious, tradition-rich HBCUs, hard-working, talented, ambitious, and very deserving HBCU students and student athletes, and some of our most brilliant coaches across the country and global around the world that don't get the notoriety, that don't get the shine. And so that's ultimately why we're changing that narrative. And we're doing it during college basketball biggest weekend where all eyes are on the hosting city here in San Antonio, the great city of San Antonio. So we're not only here, we're here present, loud, and we're a big part of what goes on during the Final Four experience.
Yeah, you guys absolutely are. We got both of those games taking place on Sunday. I want to mention that you can watch those games. They're going to be streaming on Peacock. So you can watch these HBCU All-Star games. Tell us the creation, what went into the creation of the men's game. And then, of course, you guys just broke through a glass ceiling and got us a women's game, too. How did you get the wheels turning on that?
Okay, and I want to make sure that folks understand it's not only live streaming on NBC Universal, NBC Sports Now, Peacock. This game is live broadcasting on CW Network as well. So how it plays out, our men games is broadcasted live on CW Network on that Sunday, 12 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be live streamed as well with our NBC Universal, NBC Sports Now partners and Peacock as well. And then the women will be live streamed as well on both of those broadcasting partners. So we're truly excited for these amazing partnerships. We had 3 historic years with the CBS when it was broadcasted and stuff. And so in our back of our mind, we always knew we were going to do a women's HBCU All-Star game. We just had to make sure the timing was right. And so to take you back, we've hosted 3 historic HBCU All-Star games during Final Four weekend. You put in perspective, the NCAA March Madness tournament been around for 40 plus years. April 2022 in New Orleans, the first time ever during the 40-year history. And then you had the blue bloods of college basketball, Duke, North Carolina, Villanova, and Kansas in New Orleans during that year. And then, of course, you had our top 24 HBCU All-Stars representing all of our four premier black college conferences, the MEAC, the SWAC, CIAA, SIAC, and Tennessee State, Hampton, North Carolina A&T, who we call our independents because they play in non-HBCU conference. Fast forward to April 2023. Houston, Texas Southern University, first ever HBCU All-Star game on an HBCU campus during the 40-year history of the NCAA tournament. First ever sellout at the Texas Southern H&P Arena. Take it fast forward to April 2024 in Phoenix, the last state to recognize Dr. King's legacy and holiday. Grand Canyon University Global Credit Union Arena. The second consecutive sellout, 7,200 standing room only in a 6,500 seating arena, with the overflow crowd of 1,500 to 2,000. And now we're less than 5 days away here in San Antonio. College basketball biggest weekend, going for our 3rd consecutive sellout. And then you ask the question, the importance of women. It's time to bring greater equality, visibility, and exposure to our women that's been paving the way for what we've been doing in this space. My daughter plays middle school basketball. So if there's ever a time to fight for what we believe in, when women equality and doing things at the highest level, this is possible. The time is now. And so we're truly excited to make history during Final Four weekend and host the first ever women's HBCU All-Star game. That's truly a God-driven vision. And so in all of this, you'll never hear me say this about Travis L. Williams or anything like that. I am a man of service. I'm being faithful. This is what it's about. The time is now to send a loud and clear message, what it means to represent the HBCU All-Stars brand and movement.
Yeah, truly, truly. And this all started because of your obedience. You know, we've talked previously on this podcast that the measure of success in heaven is obedience. Hey, it may not lead to sellouts in terms of, you know, whatever somebody else has going on. It may not lead to, you know, fame or fortune or anything else. But as long as you were obedient, it is seen as a success in heaven. We just so happen to see this success in front of everybody with these HBCU All-Star games. But truly, the story under that is that this brother was obedient. You got to be obedient when you listen or when you hear. You can hear the voice of God, or are you going to listen? That's what my mom used to say. I know you can hear me, but are you listening?
That's the key.
That's the key, right?
The key.
So you were listening. So let us know about that relationship with the Lord that you have. Where did that truly develop? When did you really develop this relationship with the Lord to where you heard his voice, you were obedient, and now we have what we see this weekend with the HBCU All-Star Games?
It started, as I mentioned, I come from a praying grandmother, from a praying mother. I remember every day sitting there watching her, reading her Bible during her, when she was very sick at the time. So I was exposed to it at such an early age. If we didn't go to church, we couldn't do some of the things that we wanted to do. So I grew up in the church. And so for me, it's very important to have a covering, you know, live a life of service. And as you know, in this space, we get awarded and blessed because of what we do, you know. And I think that's important. I live a life of service to help goals, dreams, and aspirations come true. That is important for me, and that's how I always lived, you know. And so I always just try to set that foundation for my family, for my children, for legacy and what we do. It's bigger than basketball here. It's bigger. I mean, the game of basketball, what brings us together. But what do we do when we come to these hosting cities? We represent 100 plus of the nation's top HBCUs. It's important. This game represents 49 HBCUs of participant. But through our ancillary events, our college admissions fair, we invite all 100 plus HBCUs to participate. So hopefully in the next few days, we can top over 10,000 students that we have been able to impact and expose to our HBCUs. There's a legacy court dedicated in each of one of these communities in New Orleans, in Houston, in Phoenix, and we plan on doing the same thing here in San Antonio. Social justice and civil rights with the climate and landscape that's going on around the country. We let our HBCU All-Stars know that you have a platform, you have a voice, use it. And so we have all our social justice and civil rights, Ben Crump, Jesse Jackson, a lot of our leaders in the community are part of this movement because we understand the magnitude of what we're doing in this space. As I mentioned to you, College Admissions Fair. I think about Friday Fun Day, where we're able to pour into our communities that are in need and that are when we want to show them love. So we have our HBCU All-Stars. When they hit the ground running, it's important to give back to the community. We have an award show, not only recognizing the HBCU All-Stars, but the community leaders that are here in San Antonio that are doing some positive things that impact their lives. So we're excited about that. And then when it's all said and done, we have some of the best and brightest ambassadors that represent our HBCUs that understands that they're carrying the torch from previous HBCU alums that have laid the blueprint and foundation. And so now we got 24 of the nation's top women to be able to set the foundation for our younger folks that are watching it. So this is a truly God-driven moment to celebrate Black excellence at the highest level, period.
Period. And I support it all the way. I support it all the way. And you've got a whole bunch of people backing you, brother. You got a whole bunch of people backing you. I want to ask you one more thing before we get out of here. As y'all can see, this man is in San Antonio right now in his hotel room. Told me before we started, man, they done put him in the wrong room. Come on, man. They done put him in the wrong room. But I want to ask you real quick, what does the Lord put on your heart for 2025 on a personal level? And what ways does he want you to grow this year?
I think it's happening now. I think it's growing now because you're seeing the climate we're in. You know, it's some like stigma to say HBCUs or be Black and all this other stuff that we're going through now. And so there's a lot of what folks, they look at the final results of all this stuff. But a lot of times they don't know the behind the scenes and everything that's going on. They don't see me falling asleep late at night when my wife had to come get me out from my desk to come, hey, come get in the bed. A lot of folks don't understand the grind. But when you're doing it in a God-driven vision, all that stuff doesn't matter. That's not going to stop you. Being faithful, we're being resilient, and we're about to show them what we're about in this space. You don't see too many individuals like me in this sports marketing space, especially doing it for our HBCUs, especially during a college basketball weekend where you just named all those different teams. You know, like I mentioned, I'm a former 17-year college basketball coach. I get it. I come to a number of Final Fours. But the difference is we're not only here, we're presence, we're making an impact in the community. We're part of what goes on because we're exposing our young folks being able to come here, and we're going to let them participate in some of the festivities. And so what's important, you know, we have interns that are locked and loaded that's coming to be a part of this. So not only that, we get to bless students that want to come learn behind the scenes access, just like what we're doing now. We have students talking journalism, talking, basketball operation, game management. They shattering some of our TV production folks, some of our sponsors, activations, athletic trainers, anything you can think of that's a part of what we do in this space. We have interns that's a part. That's important. Everybody wins in this. The officials in this game. A lot of officials in the past few years, they've got bumped up to Power 5, Power 4 conferences. You know, that is important. Coaches that have coached in our game have got contract extensions. That lets you know the global and national reach that this and the prestige of this game of what matters. We have a HBCU All-Stars national scouting staff that consists of former HBCU head coaches, assistant coaches, that if they ever decide to get back in the business, they can use this. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody wins in this. And I cannot forget to say this. We have an amazing staff. Amazing. I know I'm the one sitting here speaking, but none of this is possible without our amazing staff. And I love what you said, sports and faith unite. And I want to leave you with this parting word, especially for your subscribers. Make sure y'all subscribe. And this is a very important platform. We want to make sure there's not an empty seat in Freeman Coliseum on Sunday. So for more information, make sure you go to HBCUAllStarGame.com. Follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, HBCU All-Star Game, HBCU All-Stars LLC. What's the use of having this great platform if we don't support each other? And so we're going to support each other and be faithful supporters of each other. If you can't be in the building, we encourage you to go online and purchase a ticket, and we'll donate it to a nonprofit or youth organization of your choice, or we'll pick out the organization. But we need your help. There's a HBCU All-Star Scholarship Foundation that we have in place. It's important. We have a business vendor set up during our Fan Fest. That's important. It's our way of giving back through our business vendor, through our HBCU All-Star Scholarship Foundation, which in turns help high school students interested in attending HBCUs with scholarship and financial assistance, and current HBCU students in need of financial assistance. That's why I said this is bigger than basketball. This is a God-driven vision for all of us to win in the game of life. Thank you, and I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Coach, thank you so much, man. I know this week is packed with all kind of stuff, man. You've got meetings, you got your team coming in. You just got so much going on. So we thank you for just finding a little space to talk with us about the HBCU All-Star Weekend that's about to take place in San Antonio. One more time, those games are going to be on Sunday. You're going to have the 4th annual men's HBCU All-Star Game and the first ever women's HBCU All-Star Game. Coach, thank you again for joining us here, brother. We appreciate you so much. Everybody, if you enjoy this conversation, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. That's all you got to do to become a bench warmer. You hit subscribe right now on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We also put full episodes on our Facebook page. We are also on TikTok for the young folks, wherever you get it. If you enjoy conversations where sports and faith unite, this is where you can get it right here on Game Day Grace. Until we see you guys next Wednesday, be easy and be blessed.